Welcome to my new series, Starting a Side Hustle for Beginners, where I'm just going to share a tip a day in the checklist of all the things you need to do to start a side hustle. So if you've been a little overwhelmed about where to start, but you've been wanting to do this, follow along. You'll be ready to go by the end of the series. Okay, so yesterday was day one, and we touched on, first tip was deciding on a business entity. I told you guys how we always choose an LLC because we like the personal protection you get for your personal assets. Again, not an attorney, not legal advice. Do your own due diligence to figure out what works best for you. Now, one thing I forgot to touch on yesterday that pertains to today, so I'm going to cover it now, is your LLC name. Your LLC name does not need to match your business name, and I personally actually never match them, and let me tell you why. So you can have multiple businesses under an LLC. So one of our LLCs, we currently have 3 or 4 of our businesses, our side hustles underneath that same LLC umbrella. So it's got its name here, the LLC name. And then you have all the businesses that are under that umbrella are all, if you've ever seen DBA, that means doing business as. So that means that we're doing business under a name that the technical name is the LLC name. So you don't have to pick the same name. We don't, because we like to have different names, if that makes sense. Okay, so day 2 is going to be picking your business name. That's going to be step 2. You want to do this early on because you do not want to get long down this road of getting your business set up and find out your domain's not available, or there's a trademark on it, or you could get sued for some sort of infringement. So day 2, picking your business name. Okay. Once you pick your name, let me give you a little tip here. You want the name to be easy to say, easy to spell, and easy to find online. I am a cautionary tale. Our business name for our mobile game truck is Rendezvous Gaming. I always loved that name. I said I would get it into a business, and I did. But we have been doing some research and have realized we are likely losing out on lots of customers because it is extremely hard to spell. And it's one of those that it's not a common word, so Google doesn't always recommend what words you're trying to get there. So it is potentially funneling people to other video game trucks when they try to type in like Rendezvous Gaming Truck because the name is so hard to spell. So we've had people that are like, why aren't you doing Rendezvous Rentals as your rental company? That makes sense, which it does, except for that the name is so hard to spell, people are having a hard time finding it. So terrible choice. That's why our rental business is now Rent Stuff Arizona, because it's just easy for people to find. So pick an easy name that's easy to spell, easy to search, easy to find. Then there are places you want to go look when you decide on your name. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. All right, first thing, you want to go to your state business name search and search that nobody else in your state has a business named that or even close to that. I will tell you, if you go into ChatGPT, tell them the business name you want, tell them what state you're in. It searches not just the state business names, but a bunch of stuff to let you know if anybody has that name anywhere. So you could do that if you want, and ChatGPT will bring back. It'll also let you know, like, there's a company that doesn't have this exact name, but it's very close, and they have a trademark on it, which you don't want to mess with that. I had, when we were choosing a name for one package, one business, they came back and said, there's not another business with that name, but there is a business that has a party package with that name. And so it may affect your searchability, and they could potentially come after you for legal action if they wanted to, because they had that package name first that they're advertising. So those sorts of things you want to stay away from. So if you go on ChatGPT and search that, it'll give you all of those recommendations. So you want to search your state business name, and doing business as, because someone could have a different LLC but be doing business under that name. Then you want to do a federal trademark search to see if anyone has anything there, because trademarks overrun, they supersede state registration. So you could be registered in your state under that name and it'd be fine, no one else has it. But if someone has that trademark on a national level, that trumps your state registration. Do all those. Find a name that nobody else is using. Then comes the hard part, domain availability. Now you're going to search if your domain is available. You really want to try to do a .com domain. There's a lot of other ones, but they just, from what I've read, perform better, and people find them easier. So then domain availability. So you found a name you like, nobody else has it. Check to see if you can get the domain or some variation of it that you can live with. Once you do that, then you want to check your social handles, because you will need social media, and you want to make sure those names or some variation of it that you are comfortable with is also available. Then you're going to want to do a Google search of that name to just see if anything else pops up that somebody else is already using those names. So do all of those things. If it passes the test, then you want to secure it. So then you're going to want to go in and buy that domain so that nobody else can use it. You're going to want to go in and reserve those social media handles so nobody else can use it. If you want to apply for a trademark, you can do that, completely up to you. But that is day 2, picking a name and doing all those things to secure your name, because you're going to need that name moving forward for all your documents. All right, ask me any questions you've got.